Um, so I had a moment during one of your videos that I was like I related to a lot where um I love my parents. I'm lucky to be a guy that can be supported by both my parents, both my mom and my dad.
Mm.
I guess financially for the most part, emotionally, like a regular amount of emotion, stuff like that, and have someone to lean on. I know a lot of other people don't have that, um, but that doesn't mean everything's perfect in the way that specifically both my parents kind of don't invest in, I guess, my interests in a way where, specifically like my mom, she is old school, very old school. I have very old parents. You could basically call them grandparents, and I'm 25, so it's kind of weird to
Mm.
think about it that way. But my mom is afraid of technology, and I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd for technology. I make videos on YouTube. I play video games all the time. I program, and she's not very fond of that. She's proud of me. I know that, but she's not interested enough to ask questions about it, and I guess get invested about it. And that's something that I related to um, during your video. I forget what your side of the story was.
It's kind of the worst case scenario in that case, I would say.
Hmm.
So my mom is she's a lot of things, but one thing she would do would be to always kind of downplay whatever you had going on. So that emotional investment in the interests I had was just not there, like, at all. And it kind of creates like a disconnect where you can't relate to her anymore, just due to the fact that she's not paying attention. And she's done that to so many people, and it kind of damages you in a way, I would say, not having that initial bond, or just having bonds over things in general.
Hmm.
So that's kind of the gist of it. There's so many ways you can go from there. So I mean, feel free to ask away, I would say.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know why it's specifically my mom, but I mean my dad is kind of the same. Like we do relate on some things I'm very interested in. Both of them love football as much as I do, and probably more my dad for sure. And that's something we pretty much only bond about for the most part. Like that's our most connected thing besides maybe like watching like Star Wars or some type of like movie
Mm,
series. Like he introduced me to Dune, which was really cool. Um
great movies.
yeah. And I feel like it's weird that he's the one that's low key like the one more vulnerable about showing things that he's interested in terms
Mm,
of relating to me. Because he does it so involuntarily, like he doesn't purposely do it. He just is that uh, nerd, and I picked that up on him. We relate a lot about it, so it's kind of
mm,
natural. Where I feel like my mom gets a little left behind because she grew up with like two sisters and a brother, and they were very country. They lived out on a farm for a few years when they were kids, and she's more southern and very I guess like interconnected with like emotions and drama. Maybe not like bad drama, but just like she likes keeping up with actors and actresses and all that.
mm.
And it's nice to listen to. And I guess that bridge is kind of goes both ways, where things she's not interested in me, I'm not super interested in what she is too. Because I don't really pay attention to like celebrities at all that much. Um, where there's kind of like a disconnect there. It's more of a light layer than I think what you talked about with your mom and like things that go in the way that you experience. Um, but there are moments where I'm talking about something that's very exciting, and I kind of don't care that she cares in the moment until it happens, and I notice like her interest isn't there. But she does love seeing me excited. I think that's the difference between um, your mom. It sounds like you said she downplays things.
Oh, absolutely. You say your mom was happy to see you excited.
Hmm.
I would almost get punished for it,
Well,
honestly. So, yeah, I did. It fucks you up in a way, but what I'm trying to say with it is that you don't necessarily need to be invested in the same things, but you need to like kind of show that interest anyways.
Mhm.
So, for example, my brother is a prime example of that. We are, in many ways, very different, but we can always relate to each other because he shows me shit that I don't necessarily care about, but it puts me in a situation where I'll let him talk about it, and I might not be personally attached to it, so to speak, but I know it means something to him, and that's the important thing.
Mhm.
And same goes for whenever I show something I'm interested in. He gets excited for me, and I can still sometimes tell that he doesn't necessarily know what I'm talking about, but he still lets me be me when it comes to that, which is very nice, you know.
That's nice. Yeah. I think that that's what my mom does. At least I would like to think. There are moments where we'll be like, I don't know, like family gathering or something, and I feel like I'm in a group conversation and she's like involved, and I guess we're talking about something together, and it's where I kind of trail off, and then she
Mm.
at times has dismissed some of the things I've said during those moments where I'm like, wow, that's a little fucked up. Um, and it's like this unsung or like secret, I don't even know what to call it, like rule, I guess, sometimes within just my family in general, where some things you just don't talk about, I guess, in like a group setting,
Mm.
or like between each other. Um, it's very obscure, and um, I don't quite understand it exactly, but I do notice it. It is a noticeable thing, like a shift in like a mood or a conversation,
Mm.
and it's weird when it comes up, but I think the underlining part of it is disinterest, for the most part, where I could nerd out in front of my whole family and like maybe two people are actually like paying attention, where the rest are just being respectful and trying to
Mm.
give me a time to talk. There is like another half of my family that doesn't do that. They just talk over you no matter what. And
Okay.
they're a bunch of characters,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
they're interesting. And yeah, I don't know. It's just something like you notice in parents sometimes, especially when I look at social media, which I do my best to not really surf as much as I used to. There's a dad and a son that I follow. I don't know if you know about these guys. They're named Worth and Willie. It's Big Dad and his little son. He might be like 10 or something. And they play Minecraft all the time with each other. That's kind of their whole like
Oh,
Instagram
yeah.
page. Yeah, you seen those guys?
Yeah, I've seen those.
And I look at that man and like I maybe get like a 16th, maybe a 32nd of that like little bit of like parent interest in there.
Mm.
But to get that like full on like almost like love bombing, full interest from a parent, whenever I see those two, it's just like there's envy, but at the same time I'm like I'm happy that someone has something like that, and it just makes me want to be that person to give that to someone as much as
Mm.
possible.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I know that lack can often, for me, kind of lead me down a path where I make sure everybody else is good in that way. I have an example too of something similar to the guys you spoke about. It's a guy and a dad, of course, again, but they nerd out over like comic books,
Hmm.
and so you get to see him being fully invested in like his son's interest, and it's very interesting to see when you haven't had that. It's almost like a paradox.
Right.
I can't fully grasp it. Like, how could I grow up in like a situation like mine, and then you see somebody like that? But just knowing it's possible kind of makes me happy that I don't have to repeat that cycle because I
Right.
know the opposite is possible.
Hmm.
And my brother is a good example of that. He's also broken pretty much all the cycles that the parents we had kind of repeated. So I'm in good hands when it comes to that. But
That's good.
man, do I still wish I had like parents, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's weird me saying like agreeing partly with that because I do have
Mm.
parents, and it feels like it sounds like I'm being an asshole, like being ungrateful. But it's just like I don't know. Even like in my friend groups, I got a friend back at home where he's an only child. I have two brothers, so we're kind of I guess that's part of it. Like we're split up a little bit. Um, whereas he's an only child, and his dad just does like I just remember trying to hang out with him all the time, and he would always be like, "No, me and my dad are doing something this weekend," or just anything. Like it's always him and his dad, and like that kind of
Mm.
bond is crazy. Um, and I feel like I have moments like that with my dad, which is great nowadays, but it definitely wasn't like that for quite a while. And then I think kind of morality's kind of hitting him in the face a little bit. Like, I only got maybe what 20 years left in me, maybe.
Mm.
Um, and he's probably realizing like I need to spend some time with my kids, at least a good bit. And I mean, me having a kid myself from the get-go, I would drop everything. That's why I'm not really, I don't know when I'll be ready for that, but when it does happen, it's like I'm dropping everything, and it's just about them at that point. There's nothing else.
Oh, me and my partner's the same. Comes to that. She has like a good example of parents. So in that case, we're gonna have a great set of grandparents. But I feel like that effort you put into that relationship is also important. For example, me and my father-in-law, we have stuff we can bond about, or whatever you say in English. But same goes for my mom-in-law, and it's so weird having a set of parents that are not like your own biologically, but that you still click with in different ways. So, for example, the emotional side, um, they're both very intelligent, but my mother-in-law obviously takes the cake. And then when,
Yeah.
yeah, and when it comes to like the nerdy side, Pops takes it. So in that way, it's interesting to be able to build a bond like that, even though I've only known them for 2 years at this point. But I think it goes to show you that it's all about like investing the energy. And I think a lot of parents forget that it's not just you have a child and that's it. Like you
Right.
have to continuously like develop that bond.
Yeah,
So,
you grow up with them in a way.
mm,
Like even though you're 35, 40, 45, you're still growing. Um, and I think when you have a kid, it's just like it really means a lot the more you put into it for them. And I feel like you get more out of it pretty much. In a weird way, thinking about it like that, like you put more in, you get more out. But it's important you do that just because like I see at my job, um, I teach kids how to program, and I see kids all the
mm,
time, like between the ages of like 5 and like 13 or so, and it's very noticeable between the different parents, like who's invested, who's interested in what they do at the school or like at our facility, and like how invested they are in their kids, like what they're learning. And I try to be as like diligent as possible to get them to learn something, but also have fun. Um,
mm.
and some parents are like they're like middle ground. They're like, oh, as long as he has fun, like that's fine. Or there's other ones where it's like she learning the things that she should be learning. Um, and then some parents just they just pick up their kids. They don't really say a whole lot. They say thanks, have a good day. That's it. And it's kind of wild. You hear all sorts of stories and like different things the kids talk about themselves, which is the most shocking part. Like I've had plenty of kids just be like, my parents are
Oh,
divorced. Like they just tell me that straight up. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
I think in that case, kids don't realize what's normal and what's not, so they just speak. There's
That's
not
true.
that filter.
Yeah, they don't have any. They definitely don't have any filters, so they just
No.
speak their word.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten into trouble, so to speak, a bunch of time with school because I've just spoken about shit that wasn't normal. And well, it kind of goes to show you that they have like a sort of, they haven't been molded by the world completely yet. So whatever they pick up is like shining through
Right.
pretty much. And that's where, for example, in my case, I've had to put in so much work to just unlearn the stuff I learned as a child. Like I didn't know how to grow bonds with people.
Hmm.
I wasn't taught that because my prime example was like just terrible. And it's not a pity party to shit, but I think if you want to be a good person, you can kind of take the steps towards that. If you want to be a good parent, you can take the steps towards that. But it's gonna be sacrifices and time investment that has to be there for that to be possible,
Right.
basically.
That's the biggest, I think, sacrifice you have to do is time, and I think that's really um a lot of what parents don't do nowadays is like invest their time into those things. At least from just my point of view. There's definitely parents that do. Obviously, like the two examples we
Hmm.
gave earlier, which is great to see. But I feel like I just don't see it enough. I guess in like real life situations, just in person. But I strive to be that, and it's gonna suck though. I'm gonna miss a. Hopefully, I can get my kid to like football enough. It's to be like we're watching games, man. We're gonna be watching a lot of games. They pick up on things, and usually the kid reflects a lot of what the parents are, and
Hmm.
like you said, like that's how you grew up, and you're trying to unlearn that and be your own person, and that's kind of like just growing up in general. Sometimes you take those things, other times you replace them, um, and become your own person, which is beautiful. I love it.
Absolutely. Honestly, I think to the people that are stuck with like the non-ideal parents, so to speak, it's not the end of the world. You're gonna have to put in way more effort than your peers, but it's possible. Like I have so many diagnoses, you would be surprised, but still a functional human being. I still act in a way that's righteous and try as much as I can to be a good man. Even though I've gone through so much stuff. So it's possible to get the bonds later on in life. That's the main part
Right,
I want to say.
reconnecting. I think reconnecting can happen as long as you
Mm,
put effort, at least in some regard. Um,
yeah.
and being your own self and your own person. I think you're doing a great job. Um,
Oh, thank you.
at least from my experience, I don't really hear you being like upset at the world or upset at other things, um, as much
That's a
as
waste of time.
yeah, I think yeah, it is definitely a waste of time, and that's good to have a conscience and be like, let's not do that. Let's focus more on positive things.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's a good spot to end. This has been, by the way, I'll just do like an ending credit here. um, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I kind of just went off the riff for this, but this is Zima, by the way, if you didn't know, Zima Talks. I'll put his channel down in the description, and we just had a nice little chat. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.